All right, guys, so moving on to our next lesson. Today we're going to be looking at the surface area of pyramids and cones. So very similar to the last assignment where we're looking for the surface area of prism and cylinders, where you're going to be given a formula that you're going to be using by inserting the measures of the figure into the formula. So real quick, let's talk about the pyramids. So remember that LA, that represents lateral area, and SA represents surface area. So like the previous formulas, the surface area has the lateral area plus the base area of the base in the figure, okay? So in pyramids, lateral area is equal to 1/2 times L. Now this L represents slant height. So the slant height is this kind of like diagonal measure that goes across the face of the triangles. So remember that pyramids are created by a base and a bunch of triangles that meet up at this apex point. So L is basically kind of like the height of the triangle, but it's called the slant height because since it goes into that diagonal direction to meet at the apex point, it's slanted. Times P, which P is still the perimeter of the base. So all we have to do is, if we have a rectangular pyramid, add all 4 sides. If it's a triangular pyramid, add all 3 sides, and so forth. Now, once you get the lateral area, which is the 1/2 LP, all you're going to do is add big B, where big B is the area of the base. So very similar to what we did on the last lesson. Okay, so let's do an example. So this is a square pyramid. Okay, I have my base is a square. It gives me the length and width of the square, and then it gives me this 11.7. This is actually my slant height. Okay, so right here I can say that L is the 11.7, the slant height. All right, next we need to get the perimeter. So now the perimeter is the perimeter of the base. Now the base is the square. So if this is 8, this is 8. These over here are also 8. So it's 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, or 8 times 4, which is 32. All right, so next we need to get big B. Now big B is the area of the square. So the square is just length times width, so 8 times 8. So 8 times 8 is 64. All right, so now I have all my parts. So surface area is equal to 1/2 times L, which is that 11.7, times P, which is the 32, plus big B, which is the 64. So just like last time, you can do this one at a time, or you can do it all at one time in the calculator. So I'll do one at a time. So 1/2 times 11.7 times the 32. This will give me my lateral area, my LA, which is the 87.2. So right here, so this is 87 or 187.2. So all you're going to do is just do 87.2 plus that 64, and then this is your surface area. So surface area equals 251.2, and this is the final answer. All right, so I got this by adding these two together right here. So there's the top part, 87.2 plus the 64, 251.2. All right, so the next example, it's another square pyramid. It gives us a slant height of 7.4. So that means L is 7.4. Perimeter, once again, it's a square, so it's 5 all the way around. So 5 times 4, which is 20. And because it's a square, base is equal to length times width. So 5 times 5, which is 25. All right, so SA equals 1/2 times slant height, which is 7.4, times perimeter, which is 20, plus the big base, which is 25. So 1/2 times, what is it, 7.4? Yeah, 7.4 times 20. So this is 74. So right here, this is 74. So then plus that 25 right here is 99. And this is the surface area right there, 99. Oh, it's supposed to be 174, my bad. Let me see. 1/2 base times height. No, it is 74. No, guess they got it wrong in the notes. 7.4 times 20. Yeah, it is. No, well, the notes are wrong. So no, it is 74. So I did it right. They did it wrong. Okay. All right, next. This is another square pyramid. Okay, so now this is going to be different because this time they give you the actual height of the pyramid. Okay, so now this measure will actually come in later when we do volume. Okay, so what we need is we need to find the slant height, which is this line right here. Okay, so now the way we do that is there's actually a right triangle right here. Now, it's right angle, so one part of the right triangle is the 3. Now this bottom part right here is actually half of this length right here. So because the full length is 16, then this length right here from here to here is actually 8. And I'm looking for this part right here, L. So that means we're gonna have to do you're gonna have to do Pythagorean theorem again. So it is the hypotenuse, so L is equal to the square root of 3 squared plus 8 squared. So the square root 3 squared plus 8 squared, which is 8.54. So we'll round that up to 8.5. So there's my L. My L is 8.5. All right. Next, we need the perimeter. So it's 16 times 4. So 16 times 4 is 64. And then the base is 16 times 16, which is 256. There you go. All right. So the formula is 1/2 times L, which is that 8.5 we got using Pythagorean theorem, times the perimeter, which is the 64, plus the big base, which is 256. So 1/2 times 8.5 times 64 plus 256. I'm going to do it all at one time, which is 528. There you go. All right, so those are examples of square pyramids. Pretty straightforward. Just make sure that you remember that to get big B is just the length times width. Now, for this one, we needed to get slant height, so you do have to do Pythagorean theorem if you're given the height. And of course, right here, this measure is half of the side of the square, so it would have to be 8. All right, now, for the next one. So now this is a triangular pyramid because its base is a triangle, which means when we do the base, we have to do the formula 1/2 base times height. Okay, so first let's get the slant height right here. So this 6.7 right here is this slant right here on the face of the triangle. So L is 6.7. So now P is the perimeter of the triangle, which the base triangle is down here. It's this 10, 10, and 10. So 10 plus 10 plus 10 is 30. All right, now for the base, big B, remember we're using the formula 1/2 base times height. So the base of the triangle is this 10, because right here, see this line right here, this one? This is the height of the base of the triangle that's flat on the ground. If you have to think in 3-dimensional space. So this 8.7 is the height. So it's going to be 1/2 times that 10 times that 8.7. So 1/2 times 10 times 8.7, which gives me 43.5. So big B is 43.5. Okay, so now I have all my parts, so I can do this formula right here. So SA equals 1/2 times L, which is the 6.7, times P, which is the 30, plus big B, which is the 43.5. So 1/2 times 6.7 times 30 plus 43.5. And there it is, 144. Let's see how much time I got. Now I'm running out of time. I'll do the rest in the next video. Alright guys, so continuing on, we're still looking at the surface area of pyramids and cones. Alright, so for this next example, number 5, this is another triangular pyramid. So we have this little short triangle down here on the bottom. This is going to be the base, and then of course these taller triangles are at the actual the faces of the pyramid that meet at this apex point. So first thing we need, as we're using this formula right here, L is slant height, P is perimeter, big B is the area of the base. So the slant height is going to be this measure right here, which is the 12.2. So the slant height equals 12.2. Now perimeter is the perimeter of the base of the triangle. So the base of this triangle is this little triangle on the bottom, which is 7, 7, 7. So 7 times 3, that is 21. All right. Next, we need the area of the base of the triangle. So they give us this measure right here, this 6.1. This is the height of the triangle on the base. So remember, so just like this previous problem right here that we did up here, since it's a triangle, base is found by 1/2 base times height. So the base is the 7 because it connects right here to the 7 of the triangle, and the height is this length right here, 6.1. So it's 1/2 times 7 times 6.1. So the area of my triangle is 21.35. So big B is 21.35. All right, so now I can use my formula. So SA equals 1/2 times L, which is 12.2, times P, which is 21, plus big B, which is 21.35. And there it is, 149.45. All right, now for the next example, so now this is a hexagonal pyramid because its base is this big hexagon right here. So now they were actually nice enough and they gave us the area of the base, but if not, we would have to use the formula, the 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter that we did on the lesson a couple days ago. Okay, but this time they were kind enough to give us big B, so they already did like the hard part for us. All right, so first, here's the slant height, this 11.3, so there's L. Now the perimeter, they give us this one measure right here that's 6. Now all of these measures are also 6, so the perimeter is going to be 6 times 6, which is 36. And then of course, big B is this 95 or 93.53 they gave us. So the surface area, use the formula, 1/2 times L, which is 11.3, times P, it's 36, plus big B, which is the 93.53 that they gave us. So 1/2 times 11.3 times 36 plus 93.53. And there it is, 296.93. Yeah, that's correct. All right, so those are the examples of the pyramids. All right, now in the next set of notes, second page, now we're going to be doing cones, which cones are basically the same as pyramids, except this time they have bases that are only circles. All right, so this is going to kind of be similar to what we did with cylinders. So you have your cone. You have a slant height, just like we did with the pyramids. It's this diagonal measure right here from the apex point to the base, which is the circle. You have your height of the triangle, which is the measure from the apex point to the center of the circle. But height, we're going to focus later on with volume. And then right here, of course, you have the radius of the circle from the center point to the circle. So you have a lateral area formula, which is going to be pi times r, the radius, times L, the slant height. And then surface area is equal to the area of the circle, which is this pi r squared right here, plus the lateral area, which is the pi r L. So we're going to use this formula right here. So this is my slant height, number 7. So this is my L. Right here, this 7, this is the radius. So here's my r. So L is 11.4, r is 7. So all I'm going to do is just plug this into this formula right here. So SA equals pi 7 squared plus pi r, which is 7, times L, which is 11.4. And then all I'm going to do is just type it into the calculator. Pretty straightforward. I think the cones are definitely easier than the pyramids, just like the cylinders were easier than the prisms. So 7 pi 7 squared plus pi times 7 times 11.4. Whoops. There we go. All right, so we'll round to the nearest hundredths on these. So this 7 will round it up to a 4, so it's 404.64. And there you go. Real easy. All right, so number 8, it's a cone that's kind of like laying on its side. So right here, this is the slant height. Now this 27, this is actually a diameter. So remember, I need only half of it, so I need the radius. So 27 divided by 2 is 13.5. So that's my radius. So L is 32.9, R is 13.5, and all I'm going to do is just plug it into the formula again. So SA equals pi 13.5 squared plus pi times R, 13.5, times L, 32.9. So pi 13.5 squared plus pi times 13.5 times 32.9. Press enter. So round to the nearest hundreds again. So this will be 89. So it's 1967.89. There it is. All right, now for number 9, they give us this height right here. What we need is this radius right here, okay? So now this is my radius. So that means we're going to have to do Pythagorean theorems. But first, so this is your L. So we already have the L. So now the radius is going to do a Pythagorean theorem. It's one of the legs, so it's going to be subtraction. So it's going to be the square root of the hypotenuse, which is the 27.3 squared, minus the 25.2 squared. So square root of 27.3 squared minus 25.2 squared. That gives me 10.5. So this measure right here is 10.5. So R is 10.5. And now I can do my formula. So SA equals pi times that 10.5 squared plus pi times 10.5 times the slant height 27.3. So pi 10.5 squared plus pi times 10.5 times 27.3. So round to the nearest hundred. So this will actually round it up to 0.9 because this 8 rounds it up to a 0, which rounds this up to a 9. So 1246.9. There's your final answer. All right, so the last 3 examples I'll do in the next video. All right, guys, so getting into the last application problems of the pyramids and cones of surface area. All right, so number 10 says that if a cone has a surface area of 822.78 centimeters squared and the diameter is 18, find the slant height of the cone. Okay, so basically what we're doing is we're going to take this formula right here and we're solving for L to find the slant height. So it tells me that the surface area is the 822.87, or 78, excuse me. That's going to equal pi r squared. So my diameter is 18, which means my radius has to be 9. So it's going to be pi 9 squared plus pi times 9 times L. Okay, so this is kind of like what we did on the last lesson. It's an equation. We got to get L by itself. So first we're going to take care of these pi's. All right, so we're going to do 9 squared is 81 pi plus this is 9 pi L. That's going to equal the 822.78. So first I'm going to subtract 81 pi from both sides. Then I'm going to divide by 9 pi. Okay, so 822.78 minus 81 pi. That gives me this 568.31. 568.31. That's going to equal 9 pi L. So then I'm going to divide both sides by 9 pi. So I did this mistake on the last video. Make sure you put that 9 pi in parentheses. So 568.31 divided by parentheses 9 pi. There it is. So that's going to get me 20.1. So L equals 20.1. And yeah, that's the answer. So just kind of setting it like this. Just keep it in the form of pi, and then when you get down here, then you can do your rounding. All right, now for number 11, this one's probably going to be a little tricky, only because it wants you to find the surface area of this figure. So now this figure is actually 2 figures. This top figure, which I'm going to label number 1, this is a cone, and this figure down here, this is a cylinder. So we're going to have to do the cone formula, which is this formula up here, and we're going to have to do the cylinder formula from the previous lesson. All right, now the only kicker is that this circle right here in the top is not included in the surface area because it's one solid figure. So basically we have to when we get to this part right here, we're not going to do 2 of them. We're just going to do 1. All right, so first let's get the cone. Okay, so I'm going to do cone first. So I'm going to label this part as 1. So the cone, the surface area. So here's the slant height. So this is your slant height. The radius. I also got to remove the base right here too. Oh yeah, for this one, because the base is actually also gone. It's just the lateral area. So I'm only finding the lateral area, not the surface area. Okay. So lateral area is equal to pi RL. So pi, the radius is half of 34, so the radius is 17. And then the slant height is the 20. So lateral area, that's going to equal, I'm going to keep it in the form of pi for now. So 17 times 20, that's 340, so it's 340 pi. Okay, we'll get back to this one here in a little bit. Now, for the cone, I need the lateral area, which is the kind of the rectangle that's wrapped around, but I also need the bottom circle. So this is what I was saying earlier, that right here, I'm gonna do this formula right here, except I'm not gonna do the 2 pi r squared. I'm just gonna do pi r squared, not 2. It's just 1. Okay. So I'm gonna do surface area equals just pi r squared, which is 17 squared, plus 2 pi r, which is the 17, times the height, which is this distance right here, the 12. All right, so I'm also going to keep this in the form of pi. So 17 squared, that's 289. So this is 289 pi plus 2 times 17 times 12. That's 408. So this is 408 pi. Then to get my final answer, I'm just going to add these 3 together right here. This one plus these 2. So 304 plus 289 plus 408. That gives me 101, but it's 101 pi, or 1001 pi. And then I can do 1001 times pi. So there it is, 3144.78. Let me just make sure I did this correctly. 289. That's what I did, right? 304. Oh, I put 304. Oh, it's 340. Dang it. Okay, that's what I did wrong. Okay, so go back. It was 340. There it is. Plus 289 plus 408. There it is, 1037. Okay, so I actually put 304 right here instead of 340. So 1037 pi. There it is. Okay. So 1037 pi. There it is. That's the correct answer. 3257.83. There you go. Okay, good. So I got this by, remember, I got this by adding these 2 together, these 3 together right here to get this, and this is the final answer. All right. And the last example. It says the roof on a shed is a square pyramid base. If the base has a side length of 10 feet and a slant height of 9.4 feet, find the area of the roof. Okay, so basically, I'm going to kind of draw it out right here. So it's a square base pyramid, yeah. All right, so then it meets right here. right here. Okay, I'm not the best at drawing pyramids, but basically, the side length is 10, so which means both sides are 10, and it gave me a slant height of 9.4. So that's my L. So I'm doing the formula from the pyramids, which is this one, the 1/2 LP plus B. So L is the 9.4. P is the perimeter, so it's a square, so there's 4 of them, so 10 plus 10 plus 10 is 40. And then big B, because it's a square, it's 10 times 10, which is 100. There we go. Oh, it just says the area of the roof. Okay, so I don't need the base part, so I don't need this part. So basically, this one is just the lateral area formula. So the lateral area is just 1/2 LP. So lateral area is 1/2 times the 9.4 times the 40. There it is. Okay. So 1/2 times 9.4 times 40.